or not the cartoons that came out this Wednesday in a weekly satirical newspaper in France, Charlie Hebdo, constitute freedom of speech or fueling hatred. And with us to talk about it is Amar Abed-Rabo, photojournalist, Fadi Fadel, Dean of the American Business School in Paris, Radu Stonescu of Riposte Laïque, and we have with us from Doha Tariq Ramadan, who teaches Islamic Studies at Oxford. Now, just a couple of your reactions on the France 24 debate Facebook page. We have one from Michael, who says, free speech means equal mocking for all religions. He and several agreed with Michael. Several didn't agree with Michael, like Bruno from Nantes. He says it was only an opportunity of raising sales by taking advantage of the current controversy. I'm completely for free expression, but this decision is not only a step for more hate from radicals, but also a big stroke against free expression itself because it's irresponsible. While Adabong writes, being civic is the only way to prove the prophet we worship is worth it. I doubt if Muhammad himself will preach barbarism. Now, poking fun at religion has been a popular pastime in France ever since the 18th century. And this latest affair is, well, just the latest example.
Back in the 1970s, French comedian Coluche drew both laughs and criticism for his routines which mocked Christianity. Unsurprisingly, the Catholic Church was not amused.
The moment that it's God who is targeted, or Jesus Christ, we do not agree with that. We don't agree because it touches on the sacred.
Other comedians have used humour to fight such criticism. Pierre Desproges published this open letter to a cardinal.
Your Grace, allow me to express my indignation against the intolerable attacks made regularly on television against my militant atheism by your bigoted colleagues. I should add that I've also sent a copy of this letter to God, and things could get nasty.
For theatre director Jean-Michel Ribes, religion has to stand up to satire.
It doesn't allow condoms, abortion. You cannot have gay marriage. You can't eat pork, have long hair. So religion is everywhere in our society. From the moment religion becomes concrete, Jesus or Muhammad become public figures. I don't see how they can escape satire any more than politicians or the economy or the army.
However, there are those of no religion who criticize Charlie Hebdo's decision to publish now.
It's something that insults Muhammad, so it offends the whole Muslim community. Whichever way you look at it, there's uproar, which is very undesirable. Still, this is part of how democracy works, even if it isn't the most high-minded publication.
It's clear that the relationship between religion and satirists will always be a tense one.
And again, Tariq Ramadan, I got to ask you this question. France is a country of a lot of lapsed Catholics. And so is it a question of this is a big controversy and a hot-button issue because it's Islam or because it's religion?
I think that we have fear. France has a very long history of tensions between state and religion. This is not about Islam. And so this is why the nature of, caricatures or cartoons or targeting religious people is something which is part of the French tradition. What is new now is the type of attacks against the Muslims, which is not based only on the fact that it's one religion among the others. There is something which is deeper than that. Islam is now the embodiment in France of the other, of these citizens who might be French Muslim citizens, but because they are Muslims, they are not exactly French. And there is a stigmatization. It's the type of relationship that we have with Islam is mainly based on a type of racism and stigmatization.
No, I can't let him
it's
say
not only
that.
about
Hold on, let Tariq Ramadan finish, please. Go ahead, Tariq.
This is why today, if only we had in France today the true secular system the people are talking about, and acknowledging the fact that Islam is a French religion, and to stop this kind of increasing target and attacks against Islam by some of the people, and some of are attending your discussion, all these people who are fundamentalist secularists are creating a new religion and they are attacking Islam just to survive, because without the presence of the Muslims today, they would have nothing to say and nothing to promote.
Radu Stănescu?
Yes, I mean, everything Tariq Ramadan is, it's false, because basically if Muslims French are French, they have to stand the mocking. That's basically what I have to respond to that. Is the Muslims are
and as we said in part one, most do.
Yes, most of them do. So that's why they have, if Islam is targeted, is because it's the only religion who cannot stand criticism in France.
No, that's not
true.
Of course, no.
Nobody
was talking about Christian, Catholic last year.
That was 40 years ago.
Last year, last year there was a theater play in Paris with Jesus Christ. If you didn't
nobody,
hear about that,
nobody
I'm sorry.
bombed that. And speaking
It's
about
just
the
about
demonstration
Muslims,
in Paris, the last demonstration was banned last Saturday. Nobody said that, but we did that on Riposte Lake because we shoot the demonstration. And what was there, they called for killing the Jews in Arabic. But this is what was heard there. And this, if it was banned, is maybe because those people incited to that kind of hatred.
Let me put this to Amar. Amar, let me ask you this question, because there are American...
to this
Go ahead.
first, and then you... Yesterday, just the day of yesterday, I'm not talking about 40 years ago, yesterday there were, let's say, other stories involving Islam in France. There was the opening of the Louvre Museum about Islam, and there was something very funny. I have seen it nowhere, but there was the Ukrainian feminist movement, Femen, that came to France and opening an office in Paris, and almost half of the French feminist Femen who were demonstrating topless were of Muslim education. And some of the people working in Charlie Hebdo are of Muslim education. Do you say that on Riposte Lake? Muslims are not just...
I spoke about Salafis.
So then you talk about 100 Salafis, but you cannot say that
But
Islam
the problem is that this type of minority by the majority.
Gentlemen, Fadi Fadel, there's Americans in the newsroom who said to me, well, yeah, these Salafists, we don't agree with what they're saying, but so what if there's just a handful of them? So what if they demonstrate?
Absolutely. We are living in a democratic country. So if we want to, to show or to share our opposition to this issue or against the cartoons, we have to use the democratic means. And the democratic means include the pacific demonstration, not a violent demonstration, not organized demonstration as a pretext and then to react with violence, etc. So we have means in democratic society to share and to show our point of view and our opinion against an issue, or to support another thing. But I get that in this debate we are observing that we have kind of a conflict between two laws. We have the Islamic law, which banned the representation of the Prophet and to offense the Prophet and to offense the Muslim faith and the other religious faith, that is the Islamic law. And we have the civil law, the French civil law, the secular law, which does not make difference between the religions. And the freedom of expression has one limit, which is the limit of the outrage or the insult. So in these cartoons, the Muslims, are they feeling that they are, offended, or do they feel that they are really insulted? So they have to prove it, not by demonstration, not by, violent reaction, but by showing, for example, the Charlie Hebdo. And the precedent in 2006, they do not, the complaint was rejected by le tribunal de grande instance because they didn't obtain gain for this for
this particular issue.
Absolutely.
Tariq Ramadan, there was an article this morning in one of the French newspapers pointing out that blasphemy has been decriminalized in France since 1791. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think, it's a recent phenomenon even, because, 50 years ago, if people were to talk about Christianity and Catholicism that way, it would have been even illegal. Now, some Christians are offended by the way they are treated, but it doesn't have the same reaction. But I would say that, once again, please just put things into context and look at the Muslims. You remember that Geert Wilders in the Netherlands, he also promoted a movie, and he was surprised by the reaction, very non-violent and peaceful reaction by the Muslims, and he had to thank them. I think that if you look at France, it's exactly the same. The Muslims are just fed up of this treatment, which is based on, in fact, not dealing with the law. The Muslims are not referring to Sharia to respond to this movie and these cartoons. They are referring to something else. They abide by the law and they accept the fact that it's legal to do it. What they are asking for now and for the future is it's legal, but is it ethical? Is it a good thing for the living together to do things like this? When 17 people have been killed around the world, is it the right time to just publish a new cartoon just to provoke such a reaction?
Ethical.
What is the point of doing this?
They were killed by the Muslims who act like robots.
That's not the point.
They weren't killed by the movie. So they weren't killed by the cartoons. So basically, the responsibility is on the assassins, not on the people who publish something.
The responsibility is not only on the assassins or the killers. The responsibility is also with people who have,
the killers have freedom.
Let's put it that way. You are in France. You are in a rich
and the killers
society.
have.
Let me finish. From where you are, with your richness, wealthy and comfortable situation.
If you are poor, you are not the killer. It's not.
Please
let me finish. You just insult the people, and if they react emotionally, you say,
you are
I have
insulting
nothing to
the
do with
poor.
this.
The poor are not killers because they are poor.
No, that's not poor. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying in poor society, people can be driven emotionally, and if you don't get this, if from where you are,
hold on, please let me finish.
In a rich society, you provoke such reactions, it means that you don't have a mind, that you want publicity, money, and recognition. You don't want respect and you don't want dignity. The point is that Charlie Hebdo is not working out of dignity, just out of publicity. This is the point.
All right.
It's a point of view, but what we can determine as ethical or not ethical, well, it's a long debate. What I'm observing is that without the very tense context, international context connected to the American movie, without this international tense context, well, the cartoons, as cartoons, in a liberal society like France or in Europe, well, as cartoons, they are not offending the Islam in general or the Muslim people in general. But in this context, yes, they are not relevant. Yes, they could be a pretext for a provocation. Well, the moderate believers, the moderate Muslims, have to make kind of a distance.
Let me ask Amar Abed Rabo about this, because as you point out rightly, there is an international context. We've seen the images of the preemptive measure. The French schools have been closed. Thankfully, no one's been killed over in this particular instance, and we don't know of any attempts to harm anyone. But when we discussed it last week, Newsweek's Christopher Dickey said that there is a question now with the internet, with the fact that news on one end of the world travels much faster than it used to. He said, when the world's a crowded theater, do we have the right to shout fire?
It's a good question. But maybe Chris should have asked Newsweek about it, because the last cover of Newsweek is amazing. And there's an interview of Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who's been fired from Netherlands, who's been expelled from Netherlands, and who's known as a liar, and who's known for her hatred to Muslims. And she's maybe one of your friends, but these are facts, I'm not creating.
She's not facts.
She's been lying, and she's been expelled from the Netherlands.
No, you are lying.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. She hasn't been expelled from the Netherlands.
She had to leave. She had to leave Netherlands because of lies. This is fact.
Death threats.
Everybody can check these facts. I'm not lying, and I'm not saying nonsense. So anyway, I think it's very dangerous that Newsweek use that kind of people to talk about Islam.
But that wasn't Christopher's doing. The bigger point, though, is that anytime something like this happens, it's no longer just Franco-French, is it?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It's, as you said, it's a village. Everything that happens, what we're saying here, it can be seen in Syria or Tunisia or anywhere.
That's the problem. Is that maybe the Muslim divide was Dar al-Harb, Dar al-Islam. Why I mean, why don't the Muslims let us unbelievers live the way we want and believe what
They do.
No, I mean, no, because they don't like the American movie, which, by the way, is completely faithful to life of Muhammad anyway. To
What?
Yes, yes. I mean,
you can't say that. I'm
it
sorry.
is faithful. You have just to read it.
That's,
I mean, this is basically...
It's a ridiculous video.
No, but it's faithful.
Very cheap, very ridiculous.
Right,
Absolutely.
ridiculous,
Well,
cheap,
you know,
but it is faithful to the
That's been
Sirah.
denounced all around. Tariq Ramadan, let me ask you, the issue of the fact that this is happening in France, but it has global repercussions. As a result, what do you think the effect will be on France?
I think, we don't know. And we heard this morning the foreign minister saying that the preemptive measures are going to be taken, and they are taken in order to avoid reactions. Because once again, we are in a global context after what happened in the States, and even the people misunderstanding that this video was not coming from the American administration. This was completely isolated and with people trying to provoke this situation. I think that we have two things to say. It's first, we don't know. It could be out of control very quickly. What should be done in a clear way for the Muslim intellectuals and scholars and activists, it's very much to be vocal now and to say, don't react, ignore this and go beyond this, because this is exactly what some people who are playing with the clash of civilizations, or as we are hearing in your program today, people saying, oh, this movie is true as to the fact this is the true image of Islam and Muslims. That's just silly statements, and we have to ignore this.
Please, let him finish. Please, let him finish.
The second thing, which is very important, is you and me and all the citizens should understand that now it's their business. They cannot let Charlie Hebdo and people who are provoking on one side, and Salafi and people who are emotionally reacting, and to let us in between. We need to come to understand that, as you are asking, what could be the impact on France? It's going to be the impact on all of us, not only on the Muslims, on all of us, because what these people are doing on both sides is to destroy the living together, is to destroy the fact that we have common values, is to destroy what is essential for all of us. It's what can bring us together. This is what they are doing. So let us also be vocal in France. And when the Prime Minister is saying freedom of speech is a right, we are going to defend it, but sending also a message to the people, you have to act with responsibility. It means that responsible citizens should respond to these populists from Charlie Hebdo and others trying to make publicity and trying to create fracture between the citizens.
And we'll leave it there, but I want to thank you very much, Tariq Ramadan, for joining us from Doha. I want to thank as well our guests in the studio, Fadi Fadel, Amr Abed Rabo, and Radu Stănescu. Thank you for joining us here in the France 24 debate.